All right, welcome to episode one of the podcast, season one of Money and Velli. Okay, I go by Money, and then this is my partner Velli. We still work regular jobs. We're not going to be responsible, for people losing their money. We're just going to talk about it. So we're going to go over how this whole thing started, and then what I do, starting off with me. So I do telecom at the data center. So that's a little bit of my background. I ain't going to go further than that. And then how I got into investing, I started off with stocks first. So the two main exchanges I started off on was Robinhood and Stash. So I was doing a whole bunch of micro investing, micro trades on Stash, and then I was doing some other stuff in Robinhood. So I started off doing technology stocks like Verizon and Saragon and everything else down the line. And I was doing weed because I thought weed was going to be a good come up, like when cannabis gets legalized. And then I was studying under Jason Studman, the guy that does the Angel Pub publishing reports. So I was reading everything involving stocks. And then later on, I came across cryptos and then how to store them. So starting off, I was thinking every crypto was the same. Like every crypto was competing to do the same thing. But nah, like there's different cryptos, different ecosystems, and they serve a different purpose depending on like which cryptos you choose. There's cryptos for gaming, there's cryptos for a lot of other stuff like banks and big institutions, and then micropayments as well, just using your phone. So there's different categories. Also, I learned that studying down the line as I continue to study more. So I end up putting my stocks into cryptos and mainly being cryptos, while Velli um, over here mainly does stocks and options. So, yeah, that's it right there. I'm gonna go ahead and pass the mic off to DJ Velli.
Hey, we in the house. Like a little introduction. Now, me, I would say it's kind of similar to money of how I start off with cryptos, or I shouldn't say cryptos, I should say stocks. But I'll get back to kind of a little bit of my background. I work in a warehouse. It's just a typical warehouse that every person in the U.S. probably knows. So no, it's not much different from everybody else's lives. How I started into stocks, it was kind of a slow roll for me. Like I wasn't thinking about it too hard or for long. It was kind of like a passing thought that came to me. Every now and then, I kind of just think about my future, different things, where I want to be in life. And one of the thoughts that kept pressing and popping up in my mind was, why don't you try to invest in stocks? At the time, I didn't know too much about stocks. So I did what something's called passive investing. I just kind of put money towards a certain company and just let it roll. I never paid too much attention to it. That's all I kind of did slowly. And initially I started off on Stash because Money had shared it with me, telling me about how Stash works. So I said, okay, I'll try Stash. And eventually, the more I invested in Stash, different companies on there, I started, I guess, expanding my horizon. I moved up to Robinhood. And then I guess that's kind of where the story kind of begins. I remember one of the first stocks I invested in was a free one given by Robinhood, was Plug. And after kind of watching it for a while, I just still again didn't pay too much attention to it. I remember I used to get emotional kind of want to see just that one stock rise and fall. And because of that, I decided, you know what, let me dive into stocks a little more. Let me see what I can do with my skills or knowledge about stocks. So I dove in the books, I watched YouTube videos, I did everything I could, and eventually, um, I guess in my portfolio grew at the same time as I grew in knowledge. And because of that, I started taking an active role in stocks, which there's different avenues you can take. I'm more of a day trader, but I day trade options. We can go into options a little later. It's just the base definition kind of is I don't necessarily own the stock when I trade with options. It's just the right to buy the stock. And all this happened around, I would say, a couple years ago. And after that, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much how I got into stocks.
Yep, and there you go. Like we start off slow, and then we just worked our way up. Sacrificing our time to get this knowledge, and then which is why we started this podcast too, because we want to share this knowledge. Because like Velli, like I read up on a lot of stuff, and then watched a lot of videos too. Like, man, I remember I told you, like I had over 500 videos saved on YouTube, just cryptos alone.
I remember
Yeah, yeah, time to get out the car. Got dark outside.
that.
But
Yeah, not yet.
wait till I hear that door shut. But
Just up the window so I can smoke, or roll it down the window.
man, but yeah. So and then I got enough knowledge to teach. So I started doing classes on the side too. Of cryptos, I do crypto classes like every other Saturday or every other Sunday. Because right now, because involving crypto, we're early, like we're real early in the market. So there's a lot of opportunity. There's a lot of stuff that you can get under $1. That stocks ain't even priced. That I'll go over later on. So I mean, I don't want people to miss that opportunity, especially when I get tired of complaining myself and I get tired of hearing other people complain too. Be like, man, I can like with all this knowledge, I can really help these people. So, and then, I've been successful so far. I used to do classes for free just to see how people learn. And then now I charge because now I see how people learn. And then I learn how to make everything simple, like when I teach also. So that's how when you know something, we can make it real simple. So this stuff is possible to learn. But at the end of the day, you just got to put your time into it. And then if you listening to this podcast, then you're in the right place too. And the same thing with my partner Velli too. Even though we're in different categories of investing, like stocks and cryptos go hand in hand anyway. Like they um differ, but then they also like you can easily jump from stocks to crypto like I did and then use some of the same stuff that you learn because I'm glad I learned stocks first before I went into crypto because I went through the pain in stocks first.
And uh, you know, tag along with that comment. You don't necessarily have to start off with stocks either. It's interchangeable. You can start off with cryptos too and hop in the stock market. Both equally have their difficulties and pros and cons, guys, but they're both good ways to go through the door of investing. And I guess if you want to say, if you want to go to the cheaper side, cryptos might be the way because stocks primarily do require a little bit of a startup amount of money. Again, I won't get into how much you can start off with. Maybe potentially you can start off with a little as $100 or even less, depending on which stock you decide to invest in. But like I said, if you want a cheaper route, then most likely cryptos is your way to go.
Yeah, so they got just like you said, they both got their pros and cons too. So yeah, and then since we're in a whole new market, like I said earlier, yeah, you can get cryptos for way cheaper prices. As with stocks, you probably got to be like certified and all that, and make a certain amount of money in a year to get them that cheap. But like with cryptos, they're more of a responsibility too, since there's a such thing as holding your own keys. So you actually own those assets when you hold them in a cold wallet or in a hot wallet, which I'll go over later on this season too. So yeah, with cryptos, you own it more, but they're more of a responsibility because of all these hackers, and you can easily get it taken away from you. Especially if you do make the wrong moves. And then with cryptos, they go higher than any other asset that I've ever seen, especially with Bitcoin hitting over 40,000. But they can drop just like that too. And I've seen a lot of people in pain also trying to time the market, instead of spending enough time in the market.
And the point he's trying to make as far as price dropping, it's because of the two differences of the market. With stocks, example, Apple. Apple is like a blue chip company. It's solidified. If just an example of Apple was priced at $150. It'll be rare for it to drop to like $40, $30 out of nowhere. The only reason why that would be something, I wouldn't say catastrophic, but something bad kind of happened to the company or the certain circumstances surrounding that company at the time. When it comes to cryptos, it can drop at a moment's notice from, say, if it was priced at 50 cents, it can drop all the way to 1 cent in one day. And a few days later, it's back to 50 cents or even higher. Because crypto, that change in price, use it both in cryptos and stocks, it's called volatility. It's how the range in a price, it's how fast the range of price goes, either up or down. We call that volatility. With cryptos, it's a very high volatility. Because of that, potentially you could make a massive amount of profit because of that volatility. Even in stocks, when you look at stocks, when you look at certain companies, you want to look at the volatility of the company. Again, volatility is just the price movement, the range of that price movement, a certain time frame, day, or a certain segment of that price. You look for a high volatility. It's the same thing with cryptos. Cryptos have a very high volatility. Therefore, you potentially could make a good amount of profit.
Yeah, that's true too. That's why cryptos like sometimes called like the stock market on steroids, because how fast they move, just like how Velli explained. And yeah, stocks can take, years to certain stocks can take years to hit a bull run. And then while cryptos can hit a bull run like in the next season or just in a couple months,
Even in the
and then
day, there's enough.
yeah, even in the day, like I literally watched something like drop all the way down at 4 a.m. and then shot right back up to the regular price like it was done and had everybody going crazy while I was asleep. Like I missed all that when I was asleep. Like yes, it's a different game with both of them, and then you got something called rug pulls too, where like this like new crypto just comes out and then the price shoots high, but then it drops down and stays down, and everybody lose money. While the founders collect all the money too. So that's some, and then there's a lot of that going on. But other than
Like,
that, what
no,
was just
no, I was just saying you could probably cover that later, but yeah, cryptos and stocks is a lot of responsibility. If one of the things we teach in here is going to pertain to both of them is only invest, only buy what you're willing to lose. Like if you only have a few thousand, say you only have $1,000 in your account, don't put $1,000 in stocks or cryptos. Invest responsibly. If you can only spend $50, then only spend $50. Do not put your whole entire savings into the game. Only put out what you're willing to lose. That won't hurt you. On some days,
yeah,
I was out a couple $100. Potentially, I could potentially lose that couple $100. I was willing to lose it, knowing how the market works. But I only put out what I was willing to lose. Don't always invest responsibly. That's what I'm trying to say. Invest responsibly. You only have a $50, only invest $50. You only have $10, only do that.
yeah, and you don't have to invest every single week at that too if you don't have to. You know, I mean, yeah, you can. It's okay to make it a habit, but if you got some things to get out the way, then you got priorities, then do that too. Ain't nothing wrong with it. I do that sometimes too. Like I remember, I only had man, I wanted to invest so bad, I only spent $10 a week, and that was good because the stuff was so cheap. But yeah, so don't be afraid to put your priorities first. Sometimes, we ain't say you got to invest every day. We ain't say you got to invest every week, but we got to say, but we're saying like find some way to make your money work for you. Passively at that.
Like, I'm not trying to green anybody. Like, there's no specific time where, oh, you have to invest right now. This is the best time. Because we can say all that, but at the end of the day, the market will always be there. There will always be some type of market. There will always be another stock to buy, another crypto to buy, another trade to buy. But what we're trying to say is that maybe not stocks, but let's say just on the crypto side, the crypto still sort of kind of new in the game. It hasn't really solidified yet. You might see commercials and news and things on YouTube about it, but it still really hasn't become, I guess, a household name. So it's best to jump in the game while it's new. You know, get your bearings in right now so you can profit even more in the future. You can still profit in the future. Don't get me wrong, you'll still make great gains. But it's that I don't want to say an old saying, but it's best to start early. It's never late, better late than never. That's what I'm trying to say. We can start now. It's early. Too many people haven't gotten their hands in it. You can get most of the cookies out the jar.
And yeah, that's right too. And then that gave me a flashback too because based on what I learned and my experience too, like I be telling people like the earliest investors is what makes the most. You can still be late and still profit, but yeah, that's always gonna be the case. The earlier investors is gonna profit the most. Like I seen it, no matter what I did, whether in stocks or cryptos, when I was crypto gaming too, I realized how late I was. And then comparing myself to somebody else that was there like 4 years ago, that made way more profit. So that's why it's a good thing I'm getting in people now because I mean they only invest in $1,000. That $1,000 can turn into something else within the next year or two. When the stuff really start growing. When the ecosystem really start growing, and then the companies really start going somewhere. I mean, just like Bitcoin, for example. Like, yeah, people can still profit off the flip. Bitcoin keep going high. Whether it's like from 40,000 to 80,000, but they're still not gonna make more, or still be way harder to make more than the people who was just mining it for free.
That's true. All the
So,
people started in the beginning. Okay, here's the thing with Bitcoin. This is it's more of like an old memory. I remember when Bitcoin used to air as a little info commercial. You know those commercials, you can buy this for $10 or for $20 if you purchase three together. Those type of commercials. I remember they were selling the actual you can get the actual gold Bitcoin for $10 per coin. That was years ago. I think if I'm remembering right, maybe I was like 12, 11, if I'm remembering right. So
so
those investors that bought it at the time when it was at $10, you can only imagine how much they bought at that time and now how much it's worth now. If I only bought, say, no, it was $10 a coin. Say I've only bought three coins. Now I haven't checked Bitcoin in a few days or actually a few weeks. I have no idea what the price is, but let's just go with like 40,000. I have three coins now that were worth $10 at one point. Now it's worth 40,000. I have what, like 120,000 now?
yeah, man. And then and then the crazy thing is nobody saw this coming. Which I completely understand. It's just like nobody would thought something like that. Especially a program like something you can't even touch, can't even go that high. And we calling it money. And then I thought Bitcoin was expensive at $500 when I heard about it. So,
Exactly, man. Look at the
so
price now.
and I would have got at least one, if I known what I knew now. So, and then that's the thing about cryptos, like they do the unimaginable, so they reach like one of them reached 70,000, which is of course Bitcoin, and then people getting airdrops, which I will explain later on in the season. Basically, free money, like you can get cryptos sent to you just by holding a certain crypto when the project starts. So yeah, people are getting free money. Cryptos like reach a price that we never seen before within the asset, and it's also going to become money. Like the future, it's the future. Like right now, and then we're going to be seeing the same type of regret again. Especially when these altcoins advance, the same type of regret, um, like us with Bitcoin, because we seen it, but we didn't even do anything. So, so that's why we had this podcast to actually you know, kind of wake people up just a little bit.
That too, and we kind of want you to start investing early because we just kind of drove that point in. It's best to start early. Another way, another meeting we mean to start early. This is for people that's like that are young. Nothing against people older in age. There's nothing against that. It's just that time isn't on anybody's side. So young people have a little bit more time than the older generation. Where when it comes to investing, you can still make the same amount of profits, but long term wise, the younger generation would make more, possibly. So in that sense, like the best time to start investing is in your 20s. Anytime is still good, but the best time to invest for longevity would be in your 20s, younger if possible. But your prime time is in your 20s. People that's 21, 22, 25, start investing. It doesn't have to be big. You just start small. That's the best time you can do it.
Exactly, too. Which I'm glad both of us that started when we did. Even though, like, seeing the opportunities back then, I wish I played a part in it. But at least, we're doing it now. Like while I'm in my mid 20s, and I feel like I'm right on time too. Especially with this crypto market because it is easier to get cryptos. Like we got multiple exchanges, but I'm gonna just say this: like the easier it is to get cryptos, though, the more expensive it's going to get too. Which is why, like, I really don't want to wait, to get people into this. And and that's what everybody got to realize too. Is like, yeah, time is not going to be on your side when it comes to investing, unless you like already invested, and especially if you're earning like rewards off of holding your cryptos too, because that's what type of investor I am. I'm a buy and hold, and also a position trader. So we're going to talk about like what is DeFi and then what is staking and dividends, like on both sides, cryptos and stocks later on too. But it goes back to like having your money work for you, especially when you do it early. And that's even better because instead of just relying on 401ks and Social Security, old ways to retire, that's all getting worse along with the economy. So we're going to be introducing, something better, better choices with that.
That's true. That's true. Hey, can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can still hear you.
Got some technical good.
Man, yeah, man. Technical difficulties right here. This gonna be part 1.2 of episode one.
Exactly. Extreme technical difficulty. So we're just gonna hop back in like it was absolutely nothing. So continue what you were saying.
Yeah, just like I was saying, when I left off on the Bitcoin part is I mean, no matter what you're doing, like concerning investing, like the early investors is always going to get rewarded the most. So, like I said earlier, um, so even if you make money off of Bitcoin now, say Bitcoin doubles in price, like, and that's cool. That's a good little flip. So you can only get so far with Bitcoin so far. But even if you make money off of Bitcoin now, like it's going to be really hard or impossible to make as much as these miners who was mining it for free or who was getting Bitcoin for like under $1 or when it was $5. So you see the difference right there. So like even for people who had like 400 Bitcoin, like back then, like if they had saved it all the way up until now, instead of spending it on a pizza like the last guy did, they wouldn't be working at all. And then they only had 400. And then now you can only buy, man, only one costs 40,000. So people just buying like pieces of Bitcoin.
And then to hop off that too, it's all right, hold on. And we're back again, Money and Velli. Again, more technical difficulties. We'll try to get this straightened out because we're still new in the process of starting this thing up. But again, I'm gonna hop back like nothing happened. So to jump off that thought you were going off of, it's not even feasible. I wouldn't say feasible. It's kind of like no point in trying to invest in Bitcoin and make money off of Bitcoin. The reason for that is how expensive Bitcoin is. And this goes into mathematics and how stocks is. When Bitcoin was like even $1,000, and that was years ago. it was easy to turn like $200 possibly to a $600, $700. It was easier back then. But Bitcoin, again, I don't remember the price of it. I haven't paid attention to it in a while. For the sake of the conversation, we'll say it was 40,000. Right? In order to flip money, say you put $100 in there, you will only flip pennies, potentially $50, and that's if the price swing is massive. In order to make any type of profit off Bitcoin, you would have to invest a few thousand. Those people that you hear saying, "Yeah, I'm making money from Bitcoin," this and that, either they already had Bitcoin from years ago, but most of the time you hear people saying, "I made money from Bitcoin," because they're doing money flips. But the money they're literally using a few thousand to turn into maybe another thousand, or turning 3,000 to like 3,500. You have to use a substantial amount of money to turn a profit. And most people that's trying to invest either don't want to invest that much, which is the right decision. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I'm behind that. You don't want to invest that much, at least not at one time. Or
Yeah,
you just have they don't have $3,000 or $4,000 on hand to throw it in there, which I would still not recommend you do that anyway. But it's your money. You do what you want to. We're not financial advisors, so this is just for
yeah.
entertainment purposes and to spread knowledge. That's all it is. You do what you want with your money.
Oh yeah, yeah. I agree with that. That's why I tell people, who ask me like what market they should invest in, I'll be like, hey, it's up to you. As long as you do your research, and then yeah, we can point you in the right direction. Just like we're doing in this podcast now, point you in the right direction and give you clarity. So you know what you want to do. But we're not going to tell you like how much to put in or anything like that. We're just going
Or
to tell
what
you the options you have.
exactly, or what specific stock or crypto to invest. We can guide you to some. We can recommend you some that we think has some good potential or good starting points. But we won't literally tell you, yeah, go invest in stock XYZ, go buy crypto ABC. We're literally not going to tell you to buy it. It's just a recommendation. Again, we're not financial advisors. We're just not in the door. We're just the window. We would just want you to get a peek inside this market.
Yep. And then just because we're like telling you this doesn't mean we're rich either. We work just like you, but we're building ourselves like you should be too. And then that's the goal you should have, especially if you feel like you need to work more than one job, like work the whole day, day and night, every day, and be like, yeah, you can still work, but why not, find a way to make your money work for you? That like it doesn't hurt. I mean, you already spend your money on stuff you don't need, so why don't you spend at least a little bit on knowledge, and not only on knowledge, but a little bit of your time, not just money. Then use that time to find out like how to get more money, like without having to, waste so much time and do what you want to do.
And that goes into another segment. This goes back to what I was saying about passive investing and active investing. Passive investing, if you don't have the time or you don't particularly care too much, or it's just kind of a little hobby of yours, you can passively invest. That would be like $10 a week, maybe $20 every other week, maybe $100 once a month. Active investors is kind of, as the name implies, you're very active in it. Sometimes you put in $10 a day. You're constant watching. You put like you only make $500 a week. Sometimes you put in $200 into cryptos and still responsibly make sure your bills are paid. Those will be like kind of like active investors. So
Yep. So, I mean, yeah, it's good to be active, but like I said earlier, like we were saying earlier, you don't have to do it every single day. That's why there's different types of traders for a reason. Every strategy ain't for everybody, you know. So, like, there's day traders that make a whole lot of money. There's position, there's options, just like Velli, and then there's holders too. Like, you don't have to be like Warren Buffett. Like, yeah, you can look at everything that's good, and then we can give you a list of everything that's good too. But it doesn't mean you have to buy every single thing and thing your money out. Sometimes it takes a long time to for you to know that what type of investor you want to be, and that comes, spending time doing this type of stuff, getting your hands on everything. And, you got to be prepared to lose and learn. And then that's how I went. I was buying like all types of good cryptos in these ecosystems, which I gained off of, but also like reinvested and made my bag smaller into these projects I want to keep, because I found out like how I wanted to invest, after like 2 years of just being in crypto. So yeah, so spend spend that time in the market, and then eventually you find out like what you want to stick to.
Exactly. You'll definitely find out what you want to stick to. And like you said, there's different strategies for everybody. Not every strategy works. Like, Warren Buffett. A good example is he started off when he was very young. I, I, I'm, I probably have my information wrong. It was definitely when he was young, but it was either like 7 or 11. But it's not because he was so young necessarily. It's what he invested in at that young age is what turned him into, one of the greatest stock market traders of all time. Well, stock market investors. It's because when he traded or when he started investing when he was young, and then what exactly he put his money towards. So that goes back into research, studying. You actually have to dive in and figure out who these companies are, what their goal. If you want to be a serious investor, it will be the same for cryptos. Found out the maker of the company, the maker of the crypto, the director, the marketing team. You literally have to dive into some of these companies or creators of the cryptos to find out what's their end goal, what's their direction for the company, who they are as a person, and that way you figure out where the company is going and if it is a good investment for you. Sometimes that route doesn't work for everybody. So with the deep research, so what I would suggest, maybe invest in companies you like. If you love Coca-Cola, you love the soda, then invest in Coca-Cola. You know who the marketing director of Coca-Cola is, and you think they're great people and all that, then invest in them. Invest in what you know and like. Don't invest because there's a big wave or a big hype behind a certain company. Like, oh, everybody is investing in Apple, so we all need to go. You don't necessarily have to do that.
Oh my God, man. Yeah, you just gave me tons of flashbacks, like when you said that too, man. And then that's the thing too. So like later on in the season, we'll talk about like how that sometimes, because yeah, everybody hops on this one thing, but it doesn't mean it's gonna be just because like Sheba or like Doge, everybody hops on this one thing, but it doesn't mean everybody's gonna turn into a millionaire. Sometimes doing what everybody else gonna do is just not gonna work. Because the odds are against them in anything, including this market.
Yeah, and by the time you hear the hype, the price, people have already made their money. By the time you hear about, oh, you better hurry up and invest, by the time you hear that, most of the money to be made has already been made. So sometimes a little too late. I'm not saying that's for every particular situation, but for the most part, that's how it is. It's already kind of too late.
And then people are panic selling because it went down, and then it's going to go down even further. There you go. There you go. Everybody lost money.
Yeah, and that's a whole other skew of technicalities that we'll dive into future episodes. So
Oh
we're
yeah,
too with
definitely.
information.
Yep. So like at the end of the day, yeah, doing research is going to save your pockets, especially if you find out about certain founders, it'll, keep you from a scam or from a project that's just bound to die just like that. So, because there's like because like two ways of investing, like there's technical analysis and then there's fundamentals too, both apply in crypto and stocks, even any type of trade you want to do. But it depends on what type of trader you want to be, just like we said early on too.
And to jump
So,
in there, type of the supply and demand. But I'll let you keep going.
Oh yeah, supply and demand too. But yeah, so I'm more on the fundamentals, like learning everything about the company and about the product too. Like sometimes I look at charts, especially especially if you want to do a stop loss, like when to pull your money out. So I mean, but that don't mean you can't learn learn different things. I'm on the fundamental side, but I do um look at do take the time to look at the chart too. And then some people are more on the technical analysis side when they just looking at charts, looking at different patterns, but still pay attention to the company just a little bit.
And then there's the passive trader, passive investor. He doesn't really look. He looks into the company, but they don't really look too much. They just put a little bit of money here and watch it grow over time. They're not too active in it. They don't look at it too much, but they know they're putting their money in a good place. And in the future, when they get older, even for their kids, they'll have a substantial amount to
And
give
then,
to the
yep.
kids, or to set up a better life for them in the future. You can almost think of it as like as a retirement plan or another 401k plan when you invest your money into the market. As far as being a passive investor, they're setting themselves up for the future. They may not get the return right now, but they'll definitely reap the benefits when they're older in the future.
And that's something right there called generational wealth. Like you can literally build generational wealth. Like, you play your cards right in this crypto and stocks game too. So that's it. And then you mentioned something about 401k too. Now I don't know if this thing saved my comment about the 401k earlier, but like you can't rely on the 401k like a regular 401k at all. But I'm saying don't make that. I wouldn't make that my only option. You can build generational wealth and retire with cryptos, and then do the same thing with stocks. So just have so diversify with that retirement thing, because like 401k and Social Security is just it gets worse along with this economy, like I mentioned earlier. So like you might want to look into different looking at different things.
A little bit of more information. The 401k is basically the stock market, part of the stock market anyway. So it's like,
Yeah,
how you certain amount of money in your 401k, depending on the market, it will go up, and depending on the market, it will go down. It's literally part of the stock market. The only difference is the company's doing all that work and trading, not even trading, just investing for you. The stock market, you being a trader, you're doing all that yourself. So you're managing kind of like your own 401k. You're creating your own 401k when you step into the stock market. The 401k is
yeah,
the same thing.
yeah.
It's just who's managing it. The 401k, you just put money into it and they do all the hard work and all that stuff. Whereas you being a stock investor, you control all of that. You watch your money grow. You decide who to invest in and all that. You can still pull your money out just the same as 401k. The only difference is who's managing it.
Yeah,
Who's
and then you have more control of your stocks too. 401k, like you gotta you gotta leave your job or something because you can't take the money out like whenever you want to with a 401k. Oh, that's the thing too. So unless you like need it for an emergency purpose, like you're about to get evicted or you getting another job.
Yeah, or just a family emergency. What you just invested in stocks, and if you have a pretty good amount in there, you can sell them off. The only thing is, this is getting into more technical stuff. I'll talk about it later. As far as I think tax reasons, you have to hold certain stock. I think 2 years before you sell it. If you don't, I think there's a type of penalty where you won't receive the full money back from the stock. Some of that when it comes to I think filing your tax. I could be wrong. I'm not
Yeah,
sure
um,
because I never sold my stocks off that within 2 years.
yeah, with the 401k thing, yeah, you do get a penalty for that, especially you take it out early. So
But for
and then
stocks, I think the same thing.
yeah, for stocks, yeah, I'm not sure. I cash out. I do a lot of reinvesting, But yeah, for your
Yeah,
taxes, it's easier for like for you to put your stocks on your taxes than it is cryptos because cryptos are so new and it's still writing bills for it too. So like the only safe thing I would recommend is just know how taxes work in your state and then just you know then read up on crypto, just keep reading up on the information.
yeah, that's another thing I forgot. Each state is different concerning their taxes at the end of the year when it's concerning majority, most of the time, stocks. And cryptos will too in the future. I know some have already implemented some laws. I don't know how far or the severity of the law because cryptos is not necessarily my thing. I don't particularly pay attention to other states. No, sorry, not sorry. It's just I got places to move.
Yeah, yeah, because right now they're doing cryptos. Right now is the same way as stocks. Like the max is gonna be like 37%. Um, but that's unless you held it for like a whole year or two, then that should go down. Then it depends on how much you make yearly, also. So yeah, they'll treat it just like stocks for now, but so it might be different. It might be different down the line, especially like some of the news I'm hearing, like on certain channels, like My Life is Awesome. Then I'm hearing like these laws been slipped into a bill where like you have to keep track of. I mean, cryptos is already a big enough responsibility, but it may get to the point. This is just a possibility where you have to keep track of every single thing. When you file your taxes also. But right now, if you cash out your crypto, it's going on your taxes, just like a stock for right now.
But like I said, we don't want to kill them to death with information.
Yeah. So that goes back to what I said earlier. Just know how the taxes work in your state, and then do your own research about cryptos and taxes as well as stocks too, if you don't know.
And like I said, we don't have that much information because we're not financial advisors. We just suggest certain ways you could use your money. This is all for entertainment purposes. But at the end of the day, what we're trying to say is it doesn't hurt to look for different avenues to build wealth. We're just saying you have stocks, you have crypto. It doesn't hurt to take a look at it, even if you do anything. We just want to give you another idea. There's other ways you can make money. And it doesn't, you don't have to be the greatest stock or crypto guru, everything. You don't even have to be that. I don't know all the stocks. I don't know how everything works. I still learn and gain more knowledge as time goes on. And that goes back to sacrificing some of your time to read up, watch videos. I'm still learning as I go. I'm not the smartest person when it comes to stocks. I still consider myself like maybe intermediate level when it comes to stocks. I definitely know more than I guess the average person, but I'm not at the level of some of the people that even watch on YouTube or that are read read that I've read about in books. I'm not at that level, but I am at the level where I can create returns for myself. Do I still lose out on some trades? Of course, you're always going to lose. That's
Right.
just the way it goes. You're going to lose a lot of times. The trick is to minimize the losses, but even more so, it's the severity of the loss. And I'll get into that later on down the road in other episodes. But the point I'm always learning. This is just another avenue. There's other ways to make money. You can be an entrepreneur. You don't have to, like, say, example. What we're trying to say is we want you to create another stream of income. Another way to do that is stocks and cryptos. An example would be, say you want, you can make t-shirts. The goal is to create another stream of income. You don't have to be the greatest designer of all time that's on par with Gucci or you know Fendi and all these other high end designers. You don't have to compete with them. The goal is to make another stream of income. You don't have to be the greatest shirt designer. You could sell shirts on the side and you make $400 a month. That's good right there. If you're making $400 a month, that can cover
Oh,
groceries.
that
That can keep your car note. You really don't have to worry about it.
for expensive gas too. That could be
Yeah,
old gas, but you have to worry about
yeah. Your food eat that one entire your car note. Yes, you're not making 20, 30,000, even millions like the other people. But that's not the point. The point is to create another stream of income so it can lessen the load of the bill that you have to pay. Now that car note, I don't necessarily have to worry about the car note because I'm receiving $400 a month from selling shirts or drinks, whatever the case may be. Yes, it's not 2 or 3 thousand or even $10,000 a month, but it's relieving the stress of me worrying about paying my car note.
it.
It doesn't
Yes.
have to be. You can be a good writer. If you're a good writer or even a decent writer, you can sell books. Right? It doesn't have to be a full book. You can write little pamphlets. You can sell bottles. It doesn't matter. You don't even have to sell anything. You just find a skill, find a niche. You don't have to be the greatest in it. You just have to be good enough.
Yeah, that's why you just have to be good enough. You have to be know enough, and you have to be good enough too. And then just like you said, like if you don't invest at all, you still work a job to get to the point where you can start your own LLC. Start your own business, and then write your own checks. Or you can go into real estate, or you can go into two markets at once. It don't matter as long as you can get it any way you can legally. All
Yeah,
right, that's
legally.
that's one thing I'm gonna suggest legally. But yeah, any
And
way you can
you
can get
don't
it. Go ahead.
have to create your own. You don't even have to go that far. Like I said, you can do the whole T-shirt thing. You just sell small little T-shirts. It can even be $100 a month. That still covers something that lessens the load on you. Like geez, I hate it when you have a good thought and it just disappears. I completely forgot what I was going to say.
So, I mean, I've seen people like start their own candy stores, on Instagram. Like they don't even have a whole building. They just got their profile. Then they got like a whole bunch of pics, like selling candy or even selling food.
Yeah,
It's,
they sell
people still buy
food
the
at a
stuff.
bar or something like that. Some
Yeah,
people
so
do.
it
I
don't have to be, yeah, it
like
don't have to be
smooth.
nothing big.
Yeah, they don't got no giant business storefront. They just on Instagram. They sell some things in a jar. They'll ship it to you. Simple as that. Yeah, it takes a little bit of time out the day to make that item, but they're getting another stream of income, which lessens a little. Yeah, their goal might be to create a store or whatnot, but just think about the base level of that, where they necessarily don't have to worry about, say, paying their car note a month because the money they're receiving from this small little business definitely covers that. Another way, like I said, stocks. When I went into passive income or a passive investor, there's a thing called dividend where certain companies decide to give a payout to their investors. Either some are monthly, some are quarterly, and some are once a year. That depends on the company and the market you're in. That's entirely up to them. Not all dividends or returns are the same. Some only pay like example a penny a month. Some pay like 30 cents a month, but that's dependent on how many shares you hold in that company, how many stocks you have bought in that company. If a company only does because they have like a whole statistic chart of how the dividends are, I guess, sent out or the returns of the dividends. Like stock XYZ, you'll get 20 cents a year per share or per stock. So it's 30 cents per stock. If you have like, oh, I don't know, 10 shares of a company, you'll get $3 a year. I think if I'm doing my math right, I'm terrible at math.
I mean, it sound crazy. Dude, you get $3 a year. There's your reward, $3 for that whole year. But at least
Sounds
that's
small,
something.
but you only hold 10 shares of it. And then I'm not even
Yeah,
going how much that share is actually worth. The share could be worth like $100. It could be worth $20. That's a small amount, but the whole point of investing is to start slow and grow. So yes, starting off, it might have only been $3 a year, but then again, there's other companies that give you returns monthly or quarterly. So we can change that and say maybe that $3 every quarter of the year.
Right.
So you're getting $3 quarterly. Again, that's not much, but think about if you kept investing in that company in a timely manner, eventually increasing the amount of shares you own. That $3 can turn into like $20. Years down the road, that $20 can turn to $50. And then again, it's even say you're more aggressive within that year, you can turn that $3 every quarter to $100 every quarter. Now that's a big difference. $100 every quarter. It's an extra stream of income you really didn't have to actively go out and get. You didn't have to work a job to get that. That's an extra $100 every quarter.
Exactly. And you know how hard it is, like for middle class like us to actually make one, like when investing in stocks or just investing in stocks and crypto, to actually make $100 a month, just $100 a month constantly. Because I know
You
some people that were aggressive, like making 1,000 a month.
exactly, but see the thing is, here's the catch. You have to literally pour your money into that particular stock company or whatever crypto to
Oh yeah.
receive amount of return. I'm not saying I don't mean my ratios aren't even right. I'm just giving an example. To get that $100 a month, they probably had to invest a few thousand to get that type of return.
Yeah, yeah, this game comes with sacrifice. So yeah, you're right. Like you got to be
Yeah.
willing to, you got to be willing to spend that money, to make it
So
all
they're
back.
investing over years to get that $100 a month. That's the only thing. You have to pour in that type of money. Certain stocks are a little bit easier. You don't have to necessarily put that much in, but that goes into if the company's doing well and can you find the company, and is it even a good company to invest in? I don't just go into the market and find out which company I want to invest in just because they have a high dividend ratio. I get a large return if I invest in this company. That's not my sole reason to invest in that company. It's a perk. It's a nice addition, but that's not the sole reason to go in the company. There's a whole bunch of other reasons.
Yeah, and then I mean we'll go more over passive income, during later on in the season, but yeah, dividends do exist with stocks, passive income is possible. And then even with cryptos, which a lot of people didn't know, even myself, I didn't know until I got into this crypto game, but they just use a different word called staking, but it's the same thing as, earning dividends. But and then there's different ways there's different types of staking depending on the coin, which I'll go over in the other passive income episode. But yeah, and then they happen to pay like more yield, than stocks do. So which is why like people should get in on this early before that changes too, when cryptos get real expensive.
Exactly. Exactly. So at the end of the day, like I said, there's many ways to invest. We're just trying to open the door, or at least open the blinds to the window so you can see the avenue, you can see the path. There's money to be made in these markets.
Oh man, I thought you were gonna come up with a bar for a second. I feel like we had to open these blinds to the blind.
I want to go there. I got a second while I'm going there. But there's money to be made in these markets, and stocks and cryptos aren't the only two markets. To even fall back a little bit, I think we have more millionaires in this generation than there's ever been in history, as far as the U.S. goes.
Yeah,
Statistically,
yeah, that's
numbers, there are more millionaires now, even younger millionaires now than there's ever been in the history. The generation is creating more millionaires. There's more people that have become richer. I'm not talking about one or two. We're talking about like a large percentage of people becoming millionaires, young, younger people in the generation. So you have a higher potential to become wealthier now than you have ever been. That's why we want people, or I mean, we suggest people to find a market to hop in to invest
exactly, man.
in. And like I said, cryptos and stocks aren't the only ones. There's another market. It's called Forex. If the stock market deals with ownership or the percentage of ownership in a company, and crypto deals with the ownership of digital currency. Forex is a little bit different. Forex is more of like Forex stands for foreign exchange. So you're dealing with
Yep.
nations' money, banknotes. For example, um, the British, I forget what you call England's currency,
I
pound,
think yeah.
the euro. That's what it's called. Um, Euros, their money, the money system. The forex is comparing the exchange rate between other countries' currency, like the euro against the dollar. The euro might be worth more than a dollar. That's kind of like how the forex works. So you play off the difference in value of the currencies. That's forex. I'm not a forex guru. I don't know too much about forex. I have peeked into it, looked at it, and studied a little bit because that's a market I kind of want to get into later on down my path. But for right now, I'm kind of just focusing on the stock market, easing my way into the crypto market, and then once I get I guess I would say a handle on both of them, I'll try my hand at forex. But that's another market, forex, foreign exchange. It deals with the difference in price of country's currency. If the euro might be worth 2 times more than a dollar, you literally buy and sell currencies. And what I mean by
Yeah.
that is, if the euro is worth more, you would buy a certain amount of euros. Actually, I forgot. No, you know what? Forget that comment. I forgot how the exchange rate
I mean,
goes.
I, I
That
mean,
much.
yeah, because we haven't dove into it a lot, but I know the markets connect, in some type of way, whether it's crypto, stock, or like you said, forex, because some people use the US dollar index and forex as the indicator for like where the market's going to go. So like some people say like when the dollar goes down like further than the market goes up. Just to give you an example of how they connect. And then I don't do forex myself either, but I know a lot of the countries' currencies, all of them going to become digital at some point too. So and then stocks also turn into crypto also. So yeah, the markets is just going to just going to come together at some point,
Exactly.
but still be
And
markets.
no, I'm saying what Money was saying is like cryptos is digital currency. Forex, like I was saying, it deals with the nation's currency, and stocks deal with the shares of a company. Forex is literally banks. You're dealing with national banks. Forex, you deal with national banks because it has to do with money. Cryptos deals with digital currency. It has to do with money, literal money, just digital currency. The stock market pertains to shares of a company, but in order to make profit off of a certain stock, the company has to rise in price. It has to raise, not raise its price, but its worth. It still deals with money. That's the whole point of the market is money. That's what that's the whole point of this podcast is literally talk about money. Three different
We
markets
talk money.
all together. It deals with money.
Yeah, like, and then we ain't rich. We just talk about money. That's it. That's all we talking about right now is money.
It, it's just our interest. We're interested in this, and this is one of our goals. Particularly, I
Yeah.
think our main goal actually.
And then you think you heard a lot right now, but this is just the intro in this long episode. We're gonna dig even deeper, as the season goes. Bars, but yeah, yeah, go deep into the rabbit hole. Man, that might be the title of the next episode.
It might be deep into the rabbit hole. I think
Deep into the
we're
rabbit
going
hole.
on we're going on a little longer than we expected it to.
We
To
expected to, yeah. Like bringing up,
listen,
like, the same. I think we can end it right there. We're just not rich we talk about money though. So, and then we know enough to teach. That's the thing. We know enough to teach, but we ain't gonna tell you what to do at the same time.
Exactly. And then not only that, we're not masters at this. We're still you're you'll never be a complete master. Even the greatest stock investors lose, like the greatest, the ones that have millions, even potentially billions of dollars, but ones that are multi-millionaires, even they lose money in the stock or crypto game because it's not a perfect scenario or perfect system. To give you an example, to a certain extent, it's almost like gambling, but you have a better probability of making return. And a sense, it's kind of gambling. Like what I do options trading. Again, I'll cover more in the future, but like I said, options, you don't necessarily own the stock or shares of a company. You own the right to purchase that particular stock or share at a certain price given within the contract. Essentially, all I'm doing is betting, will this particular stock go up in price, or betting will this particular stock go down in price. That's like, stock market for dummies. Simple explanation, the simple definition. I'm betting whether it will go up or betting it either will go down. That's kind of what option trading is. It's a lot more complicated information that goes into it. It's a little bit more advanced, but simply that's all it is. I'm just betting whether it will go up or whether it will go down. That's all it is.
Yep, and then that's the type of trader Velli is. When it comes, like he just explained with the whole options thing, and then the type of investor I am. What mainly cryptos, but I will go back into stocks. When it's time. But right now, I'm mainly cryptos for just now. The type of trader I am is position trader, which I'll buy something like I buy a coin, and then I'll wait. I can wait like a long time. I can wait for like a month to like a year, and then before I make the trade because it already went up by now, which I did a lot. In the part in that, and then when you look back at these cryptos, like a year ago, which a lot of the good coins that we're going to talk about, they went up. From last year. They're higher than still higher than last year. They're not at a lot of them not at their all time lows. So I'm a position trader. I'll wait a long time before I can make a trade, but I'm also a buy and hold investor, which which we were talking about. I earn all the dividends, basically, like for a lot of them, not from all of them, because a lot of the cryptos are different, but I stake them. So I don't even have to look at the chart too much for a lot of them because I'm still earning whether they go up or down, and that's the beauty about staking or earning dividends. Like you're still getting paid regardless. And it still took me a while to figure out what I wanted to do. Even what I'm doing now. But I'm glad I spent as much time in it, so I had an idea instead of just buying up everything that is good, like we talked about earlier. That's just find my niche, and then you can do the same thing too. You don't have to do it exactly the same thing we do, but at least take from what we're talking about now is do your research. Don't be afraid to sacrifice that time. Don't be afraid to lose, but spend what you're willing to lose at the same time. Like just be cautious, especially um, well when you're betting in this crypto game too. So that's all. That's what we're going to leave off right now in this introduction. And again, this is for entertainment purposes. We're not financial advisors. We're just like we already talked about, just leading you down to the right path. We'll see y'all in the next episodes. And remember, we're not rich just because we talked about this. We just talk about money.
It's
That's
all
it.
about it's just all about
Well, yeah. So yeah, we out. See y'all in the next episode.
the next episode to see y'all.
Till next time.